Right, we're after a disappointing 2-0 defeat at Hemel Hempstead Town with Welling United joint caretaker manager Harry Wheeler. Harry, what's your first overriding thoughts on that performance? Did we lose it early in the first half?
I think we lost it early first half. I thought it was a poor goal to concede. I thought it was a poor game. I thought the game in general was poor from both sides. I don't think there was a great quality out there. The disappointing thing is the 2 goals, the manner of the 2 goals. Sometimes you get poor games, and if you get poor games, you come away 0-0, and you just said fair enough, and we'll take that. But it's the manner of, if you're going to lose it, try not to lose it like that.
We've gone on a really good run, 7 wins on the trot, and we've left Christian Anetti out today and played Dan Walker. Can you tell us a bit about behind the decision there?
It was literally because he was late. Okay, so we come in Thursday, and that's all it is that we set a time to be here. It was late, and obviously bystanders that were at the club, and all we're doing is following on from Jamie when he was here. Jamie would have done exactly the same thing. So the standards don't change. So it's exactly the same. It's not suddenly different, and now they can be late, and they can, and he didn't do it on purpose. But at the end of the day, if you're late, we had rules set in for that, and that was the only reason why they changed. The team was going to stay as the same 11 before that happened.
Okay, and also the substitution when you brought Christian on for George, was that? What are the thoughts behind that one?
1 for the booking, 2 because the ref was getting happier and happier with the cards as we were going along. So it was a little bit for the booking, and then we knew that it was likely that Pierre was going to come on as well. So if we do the 1 first, slightly move Dan over. If Dan suddenly gets a little bit more in the game from going over to the left side as his favourite side, then we'd have kept it. But we knew quite quickly that Pierre was going to come on as well. So we just thought we'd get the 1 off for the booking first, and then we're going to change both in the end anyway. So we just decided to do the 1 who was more likely to get in trouble earlier on.
With them a little bit of pace for their 9, and we're trying to bang the ball in behind us, what can we do to try and counteract that?
It's positioning between the goalkeeper and the centre halves, and we said before, and it's written on the board that Jake Robinson likes to run in behind. That is his game, similar to Dave Tarbutt, Maidenhead. They're similar players, and the same thing. And it's literally. As a keeper and your centre half judges, can he get to the ball before he turns? And if the ball goes in behind, can he deal with it? If the answer is yes, he can get to the ball, but he can't deal with the ball in behind, then he needs to drop off slightly, or the keeper needs to come up to condense the gap between the centre half and the goalkeeper.
Do you think that we tried to combat their getting in behind us today, or do you think we need to be better?
We needed to recognise it better. Sometimes in the game it will happen early on, and that's your warning. And then after that, if you're a good player after that, it doesn't happen again.
Okay, then did it happen too many times?
It happened too many times. Yeah. So what I'm saying, we need to learn quicker from it. If it happens, that is your warning. And if they don't score on the first one, then at a better level, you get less warnings. So the reason why some players are here is you've got to learn quicker. And so if it happens, then it makes sure it doesn't happen again. And it happened a few too many times, which we got away with just until the last one later on.
Has Mark Goldberg said anything to you interesting about the sort of time scale for when you're in charge, or is it?
No, it was just game by game. Look, we obviously tried. The idea was to carry on from what Jamie had left. It was going to be the toughest game in that period anyway. I spoke to Jamie on Tuesday night, and he said it was going to be a tough game. They'd just come off of a draw at Hampton before they'd won 3. So they were, and I know them here from my time at St Albans, and we played them so many times. They start very sharp. They're good at home. They're a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde team. Sometimes they're brilliant, sometimes they're not. But we knew it was going to be a tough game anyway. So it just coincided with the managerial change, etc. It was going to be a difficult afternoon, but there's no indication of how it's going to be. It will be game by game. Let's see how the results go, and we'll see obviously what reactions we're getting next week.
What kind of things do we need to do to get back on the run that we was on before?
Take the loss on the chin. Take it on the chin and understand that it happens if we're going to lose at one point, regardless of who's here. Take it on the chin, learn from it. I just said to them in there individually, if you weren't at your best, it's not about pointing fingers. We didn't go in there and say you did this, you did. They know. If you're an intelligent player and you understand the game, you know without being told. So learn from it, react to it in a positive way next week, and understand that you're going to lose games. If you're a good player, you react to the best players in the world lose games. You're going to lose games, but can you react in the best way you can? And the answer will be found out next week.
A word for the Welling fans today. I thought they made a lot of good noise.
I thought they were excellent. Yeah, I thought they were excellent. Felt a little bit sorry for them that you couldn't see a bit more quality out there. Again, I'm sure they understand you get games like that, but it depends. You can take it once, but then suddenly if it's a repetition next week, which I'm sure it won't be, but if it is, then it starts to be a little worrying signs. But you'll get games like I said. I don't think they were great. I didn't think they were great either. And which says in the 2 goals they did score weren't good goals.
But is that worrying that they didn't have to be great to beat us today then?
No, it was more worrying the manner of the goals for me. They didn't have to be great, but we troubled them at times, and we weren't great, and they didn't look like they could deal with any time that we did go forward. So it was a little bit worrying for both teams, and it was 2 really poor goals that won them the game.
Your own thoughts on the moves from Jamie and AD and even Neil to Gillingham, and how sort of it came about, where you know, what's the timescale basically, and you've got a message for Jamie and AD because they'll probably be looking at some stage.
Yeah, I think I was delighted for them. It's your selfish point of view is that you're disappointed. 1 for the club, but 2 for me as well. I come, everywhere. You can learn off everyone. People with AD come in, and Jamie's been brilliant. And it was. I said the other day, it's a shout. I've now worked with 3 managers that have won this league in the last season and a half, and they're all totally different. And so I was really enjoying working with Jamie, and then AD came in and added something else different, and he's different to Jay. So I think it's fantastic for him. I have nothing but I hope it goes really, really well.
Do you feel you've learned off Jamie and AD?
100%. You've learned. If you can't learn off people, then you can learn off anyone. If you don't think you've learned, then you're blind and you're ignorant to it. So yeah, I've 100% learned off them in totally different styles. So I've learned off other people. So it's brilliant. The only thing I would have liked it to have been longer. The more you'd have been with them, the more you adapt, the more you see things in their way, and you put your own spin on things. So it would have been nice to have been longer, but you can't. The people getting opportunities like that is brilliant, and they deserve it, and hopefully it goes really well.
You don't become a bad team overnight on 1 defeat in 8 games. Are you confident that yourself and Tristan or whoever can get the players back on a winning run and get the performances going better?
Yeah, as you said, you don't become a bad team. It's not suddenly, football's a mental game. It's not because they've left suddenly the lads have lost all their talent. It doesn't work like that. It's just, if we just don't override it, and you don't get too high with the highs, you don't get too low with the lows, and if we don't override it and think, when we were winning 4, 5, 6 games in a row, we weren't thinking, we're the best side in the league. Because you lose 1 game, we're not now thinking, we're in trouble and we're the worst side in the league. It's trying to stay on that level that you will lose games, you take them on the chin, and the reaction is the biggest thing for it. And that will be drilled in this week, and hopefully the reaction will be next week. It's a breakaway from the league. Be a tough game, but it'll be an interesting game to sort of gauge where we're at, and hopefully we put enough of performance in to be able to gauge that and see where we are.
So we obviously know quite a bit about Bromley and a local club and stuff like that. Sometimes teams in that league don't really have their foot fall down in the FA Trophy, so it's a game that we'll be looking at to go and get some kind of result.
100%. I just said to them there, the worst case scenario next week is we take it to a replay. That's the aim. There's no thing about there a league above. It'll be great if we just even put a performance. It's not about putting a performance in. Next week is about trying to get something from the game, and we'll go into it fully believing that we'll get something from the game. So it's going to be a really big session this week, and work hard all week. Tuesday, Thursday, we'll work hard. We'll make sure it's drilled in. It's all about the reaction from today. Okay, sometimes you take them, and we'll go in next week believing that we can win the game. There's no other reason, and we shouldn't be there if we don't believe it.
And just finally, Harry, what kind of roles are you and Tristan taking on a match day? If you think of the traditional manager, assistant manager, or is it literally you're both bouncing
I think we're
off each
both.
other?
Yeah, we'll bounce off each other. We're both not fans of joint managers, and never have been. I've probably taken more of a role because I know the player, because I was here before. Me and Tristan sat and we spoke, and he himself, in fairness, said that he hasn't been in the change room when Jamie's been there and Adie's been there, so it doesn't change from what it was. I mean, when Jamie was here, I had quite a lot of role to play. I didn't just stand there and twiddle my fingers, and so I learned whatever I was doing before, I'm still doing. And Tristan's just bringing in his experience of this kind of thing. He's been caretaker manager, including even this season. So we work together. I just know some of the lads obviously a little more, and he's getting to know them. So at the moment, it's probably more predominantly on my way, but that's not through anything other than I know how it was before.
Harry, thanks for that, and we'll see you at Bromley, and hopefully we can get a decent result.
Yes, thank you.
Can I just ask a couple of extra questions? I don't know how long this is going to be lasting as the caretaker role. Have you got the power to bring in players and release players if necessary?
It would be something you'd have to discuss. You never know until you ask. It's not something I've asked within the last day or so, because obviously it's been a quick change, and when you've been winning games, there's no need to ask. There's no need to ask the question, and it wasn't when you'd won those many games, not suddenly we feel we need to change it. But I'm sure if it's something that we'd all agree on, then there'll be a way around it, and it'll be something we need to do.
You discuss that with Mark.
Of course, we'd always go to.
He's a budget man, isn't he?
Yeah, of course. So we discuss it with Mark, and then obviously we'd see from there if there's room for it and if it's needed.
And today I didn't see Stacey Beckham around. Is he still involved as a goalkeeper coach?
No, I think Stacey's moved on as well now.
Has he?
So that'll be something we'll address.
You'll be
And
looking to bring in
yeah, of course. Something we'll address.
The one you had before.
Yeah, it's all happened very quick, so it's something that we'll address and move on from as soon as possible.
Okay, and I don't think there are any injuries today, were there? So there's nothing to worry about.
The only person at the moment is Chris, the keeper. So hopefully, do you know, it would be nice next week. He feels he can, but players always feel they can play. It'll be down to the physio in between him to monitor him, and if he can train Thursday and train fully, then he's got a chance for Saturday.
The Slabber?
Jamie's probably still a couple of weeks away. Had quite a bad injury. He's been in. He's always in. When we train, he goes to the physio. So, but it'd be nice to have Jamie back. It just will depend on. I'd say it's probably still about 2 weeks away.
Luke Sackers?
Luke's been out a long time now. Luke's still with the physio.
Know,
no, I don't know him. Yeah, because he comes in. No, I do know him. But in terms of how far he's away, I think he's even further still about another month. So unfortunately, he had an unfortunate injury. And look, when he's back, you know, it's up to him to kind of put his stamp on it.
And we'd be looking for another fitness coach?
Potentially looking. I mean, my job outside of here is personal training full time, so I can add that part. It's not a problem. But we can do the same kind of things. Don't get me wrong, Neil was very, very good, and it's a shame to lose. I thought he was brilliant, and it'd be really nice.
So you'd be trying to carry that on?
Well, we're trying to replicate exactly. And look, if they want to bring a fitness coach in, it'd be brilliant. If not, it's not something that I can't cope with. I'm not claiming to be at Neil's level. I thought Neil was fantastic with it, but we can try and replicate as best as we can, and try and do as much of it in a similar way as we did before when it was working.
And you think we can beat Bromley next week?
100%. You can be any game. There's no, but generally, if you go into a game, it's one league above. Weirder things happen. Stourbridge was still in the FA Cup today, so if we can 100% go next week and win the game.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Harry.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers.